Thank you. My name's Stephen, I'm an addict.
Hello,
I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be here tonight, to be able to share. I love service. You know, service keeps me clean. Service takes me out of self because I'm self-centered to the core. And right now, if I'm honest, I'm very tired. Thanks, Raf, for asking me to come here. Thanks, Arabella, for taking the meeting. And thanks for everybody else that came tonight to make this happen. I drove for an hour and a half to get here from Southend. Just finished work, haven't eaten since lunch. And when I was buying something at lunch, I got a phone call. I couldn't even get to buy what I was going to buy. I ended up just having like a chicken bake. That's it really. So I'm hungry as well. And my head is just a bit loud, if I'm totally honest. Very loud. And I've sat there and I've just said a little prayer and yeah, just turning it over, man. Turning it over. And that's what that step 3 stuff's about. Do you know what I mean? We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. If there's any newcomers in the room, I'm going to suggest to you what was suggested to me, and that's do 90 meetings in 90 days, find a sponsor, do the step work, and find a home group. It will hold you in good stead for your recovery, and embark on the best journey you can ever have in your lifetime. And that decision to turn my will, which is my thinking, and my life, which is my actions, over to the care of my higher power, hands down is the best decision I've ever made in my life. Because I've always ran on self-will from a child, if I could remember. If my mum told me, don't do it, I'll do it. I never listened to teachers. It's like I just rebelled against every regime, you know, and crack was my drug of choice. And I used to use gear to come down. If I'd been smoking for a hot minute, I'll smoke a bit of gear to come down. And I remember there was a stage, before I got proper fucked up on it, before I was ripping carpets up and thinking people was in my attic and running around with knives in my house. And there was a lot of people, that used to say, whatever you do, don't touch that crack shit. Do you know what I mean? And there was even like reggae songs like, do not touch it, tinkali, kala. You know, like, fucking hell, it was just everywhere, innit? Watch New Jack City, you see Pookie all fucked up. But in my head, I always thought, you know what, that will never happen to me. Them guys are just weak, man. They ain't built like me. And before I know it, I was Pookie. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I have a strong connection with my higher power. I pray every day. And because I pray doesn't mean I've got a strong connection with my higher power, neither. Do you know what I mean? People pray and they still do fucked up shit all the time. And I try to practice what I preach through NA. You know, I love helping people in recovery. I love helping the newcomer. I love carrying the message to the addict who still suffers. And it's not only like the newcomers as well, because you know what, old timers fucking suffer as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not an old timer, but I'm up 8.5 years clean.
Come on, brother.
And sometimes I suffer. Sometimes I suffer in my head. I believe that shit in my head. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm very blessed that I've had some really good people around me in recovery. The sponsors that I have had, I love them dearly. Do you know what I mean? And there's, one of them I keep in contact with, not regularly, but he was my sponsor for 10 years, and he saved my life. You know, when I was with him, I had a terrible relapse, and relapse was my story. Do you know what I mean? It's been a part of my journey because of that rebellion against the regime, because it was so hard for me to make that decision to turn my will over. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be anybody else's journey, anybody else's story, but it was mine. You know, I wanted to indulge in certain defects of mine. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoyed instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and because of that, a lot of people have suffered around me, and I have suffered internally, because each time I act out on a defect, on self-will, in self-will defect, I compromise my spirit, my spirituality. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not a psychopath, so when I compromise my spirituality, low self-esteem kicks in, guilt, shame, and I cover it up with a bit more acting out to just get that little bit of release from my head that drugs used to give me. But it's not drugs I'm taking, but I'm still using, but in a different way. And when I acknowledge that within myself, there's a man who's a great man in my recovery as well, Raymond Ramos, I'll say his name, he said this, like, the 3 A's. Awareness, acceptance, and action. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that this, whatever I'm doing, or that, whatever I'm doing, is compromising my spirituality. It's a spiritual program. Yeah, so if it's compromising my spirituality, that means I have to turn it over. I have to do some work on it. It's self-will. It's not of God. Because my God is a loving, caring, compassionate, empathetic God. So if I'm doing something that is not aligned with that, that's my will. I try to simplify it. If there ain't no spiritual principles in the decision or in the action or in the thinking, yeah, because I can't control my thoughts. I get intrusive thoughts. I think some fucked up shit, but I don't act out on it anymore. I don't. You know, if I know that whatever I'm thinking or whatever I'm doing isn't aligning with spiritual principles, I have to do something about it before it turns into an action. Reason being, I'm compulsive. Yeah? Physical aspect to the disease, compulsiveness. Mental aspect to the disease, obsession. Yeah? Spiritual aspect to the disease, self-centered. Mm-hmm. That means, yeah, when I get a thought, yeah, and I'm running in self-will, chances are I'm going to act out on it. Yeah? And because I'm self-centered, I ain't thinking of who I'm going to hurt while acting out. Because I'm self-centered. I ain't thinking of your feelings because I'm thinking of, I'm going to get a buzz from this. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking instant gratification. And that's pretty dangerous for me. I don't know about anyone else in this room, but for me, that's dangerous grounds. So the fact that I have the opportunity to turn my will and my life over, to make the decision, because it's a decision. It's a decision that I have to make. And it's a decision that I have to make regularly. It's not like I've done my step 3 how many years ago and it works for me every day. I have to do that every day. I wish it was that simple as my first step 3 is holding me today. It's not that simple for me. Because life goes on. Yeah, and life has got very complicated. When I first come into recovery, the only thing I had to think about was staying clean. That's it. I never had no bills to pay. I never had no children. Do you know what I mean? It was just like fuck that. Do you know what I mean? Now that I work with addicts, literally work with addicts and with addicts. So in my office, we've got 5 fucking recovering addicts. And sometimes, none of them's in there, so I can say it. Sometimes it's hard. It's very hard. And I have to take that spiritual pause and find a nice quiet corner and have that time between me and my loving, caring higher power to turn my will and my life over before maybe I could say or do something that's going to compromise my job, compromise my well-being. And that's how I deal with it. I'm constantly turning my will and my life over. That's me. This is my journey. Maybe some people can just get up in the morning and just do it, but you know what? I could turn my will and my life over to the care of God, and then 5 minutes later, I'm doing some self-will shit. So that tells me that is something I need to stay on top of. Because my head will tell me to do something, and then after I've done what my head's told me to do, it's beating me up over it. And then now I'm trying to make myself feel happy again. I'm acting out in certain ways to try and fill that void that action has just caused within my spirit. And it keeps me sick. It makes me ill. Which is why I'm constantly writing. I'm constantly doing meetings. I've got a beautiful home group. If anybody's in Southend on a Sunday evening, Dundonald Drive, please come. You're more than welcome. I would love to have you there or see you as guests. I'm just a grateful addict. If it wasn't for recovery and being able to follow suggestions when that window of desperation opened for me, I wouldn't be here today. And one of my sponsors said to me, I'll never forget it. It's the same sponsor that was my sponsor for 10 years. He said to me, Steve, you know something, it's not the drugs that will get you. Behaviors. It's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle. It's my actions. It's my thinking. My thinking's the disease lives in between my 2 ears. You know what I mean? And unfortunately for me, it's very loud there. It's very loud. And the more I commit myself to recovery, is the more manageable it is. It doesn't shut up. I can't switch it off. It don't just switch off. But what this stuff does for me, it makes me manage it a lot fucking better. I don't know, maybe when you get down to like 20 years, 25 years, and all them big time there. Yes, Russell. I was just, when you get to them big time there, it might be different. But here where I'm... In fact, I could share a story with you. When I was 2.5 years clean, I took my foot off the gas. I took my self-will back. I relapsed, and I went to meet my sponsor, my loving sponsor, who I mention all the time because he saved my life, and I believe that. And Russell was there. The day after I relapsed, down Shoreditch, up our Shoreditch club, and the two of them were sitting there, and I was like, I relapsed yesterday, and blah 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 blah. And he said to me, Steve, you know something, if you and the disease, because I thought, you know what, even though I relapsed, I was telling him, even though I relapsed, it was just the one time I used. That's what I'm telling him, I ain't going to use again. That's what I said. This is going to be the once. I'm going to fucking get back on this recovery thing. And he obviously knew me better than I knew my fucking self. Yeah, the beast was out the cage. I didn't even know it. Yeah, I unleashed the fucking beast. And he said, if you and the disease was in the ring having a fight, yeah, and it was the odds was 1,000,000 to 1 that you might even have that little tinchy-winchy chance to beat the disease. He says, I'll fucking keep my pound in my pocket and buy a Kit Kat. And it all makes sense now, because 18 months later from that, I was in the hospital having half a lung out. Proper fucked. Is that 10 minutes?
15, yeah, you could.
Yeah, all right. I was proper ill, mentally, physically, and spiritually. But with that being said, it was such a horrific experience. That was the catalyst for me turning my will and my life over to a care of God that I understood him. Self-will gets me nowhere, and we're very blessed. We're very blessed to be able to be members and be a part of a fellowship that teaches us how to live, that we can make the friends that we have made. I don't take it for granted. You know, I now go to any lengths. You know, and that's why I chose to change my career and work in the field, because I love working with addicts. Like, with addicts who are still suffering, as I said earlier on. I love the fact that I could use the most darkest, loneliest time of my life to help others. I think that's a great thing. For me, it is. You know, so that tells me, yeah, that wasn't in vain. It served a purpose. All those tears, all that prison time, all that guilt, all that shame, all that grief, served a purpose, you know, and it's because of God. It's because of my higher power. It's because of the God of my understanding. It's because I turned my will and I made the decision. The decision's is key in that. The decision to turn my will and my life over to the care. You know, have you ever cared for something? You know, when you care for something, you care for something. I've got a goldfish here. This goldfish is 14 years old. I care for that goldfish. Yeah? I care for it. That's the care I'm talking about. Yeah? So with all due respect, stay in the middle of the ship. Keep working the steps. Keep in touch with your sponsor. Keep turning up to home group. Keep doing service. And continuing helping and loving one another, because that's what we're here to do. So, on that note, thank you for listening.
Come on, brother.